where counties bypass the dependency court through the use of safety plans separating a child from their parents. This happened to me based on a false accusation.
With attorney Vince Davis on The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. Our next call is from Miranda in Chico, California. Hi, Miranda.
Hi.
Do you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
A question to ask.
Go ahead.
My question is around something known as the hidden foster care, which is like a newly published, Stanford Law Review just published this topic back in April, where counties bypass the dependency court through the use of safety plans separating a child from their parents. This happened to me based on a false accusation by someone who's a near stranger to our family. And shortly thereafter, COVID hit, and basically they used a safety plan that I wasn't in agreement with. They didn't provide any services. They just said, my daughter's with her friend's mom, and she's safe there. They had me arrested on a false allegation, which later, like 8 months later, I got a random letter from the police saying it wasn't an arrest, it was just a detainment only. My name was taken off the ICAC list. All this weird stuff started happening like that, but I still don't have my daughter back. She was never adjudicated. The second I got it, my daughter had escalated and was in a mental health crisis, and she was on a safety plan and was under doctor's orders to go to the crisis unit. And the police questioned me and then arrested me. I spent 3 days in jail. My background's in child welfare. As a behavioral health counselor. And so I knew that they can't separate my daughter and I because of a safety plan. And my sister objected to the social worker told me in jail that he couldn't give me his card. He said he almost refused to take down the majority of my family's names and numbers, and she ended up going to this random person who he admitted knowing. I had a county internal investigation going, which has been 11 months now, and it's still not completed. I filed statewide civil rights complaints, which just spoke to them last week, and they're in receipt of the county report, but they haven't worked out a resolution yet, and they can't talk to me much about it. In the meantime, my daughter's been in this probate guardianship. My sister objected. I objected, and she's still with this random person. And I don't know what to file other than an objection to get her back. And due to COVID, we haven't had a trial. She's now failing school. She's been suspended. She's now addicted to drugs. I watch her social media all the time. She's smoking and vaping and hypersexualized. And it's gotten to the point where I had to report it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children because some of her social media, she was meeting up with adult men and exchanging sexual acts for substances. And I don't know what petition. One, I don't know how to get this out of probate court. And two, I don't understand. My specific question is it ever lawful for a social worker to take temporary custody of a child when a sole parent is in jail and just give them away without filing a petition in dependency court? And if that happens, what due process do I have as a parent? Because I've been told I can't file a fair hearing, an administrative fair hearing. The foster care ombudsman's office was one of the first calls they made, and they said that it was outside the scope of their jurisdiction. And then I can't provide video evidence of my daughter escalating and actually assaulting me unless it's at an evidentiary hearing, which we still have not had, and it's been 11 months due to COVID. And there seems to be no process to navigate to get eyes on this situation. What is your advice? What can I do?
Okay. So, first of all, you have been informed or you have researched some things and you are mixing some apples, some oranges, and some grapefruits.
Okay.
All right. So, basically, a social worker cannot take your child for more than 48 to 72 hours without filing a case in the juvenile dependency court. Now, you mentioned
Well, he
something
did.
about,
He did create a form that just says why he released. There was a form that he had to say she was in for a certain number, above a certain number of hours, and this is why I'm releasing it. And he claimed on that form that he was releasing her to this woman because prior to CSD involvement, she was already there, which was a lie. My daughter ran away to her friend's house.
was a case actually filed in the juvenile dependency court?
No, and I had to file an internal complaint with our Children's Services Department at the mere fact that they didn't put my daughter in foster care.
Okay. So I'm going to back up, Miranda, and I'm going to ask you this question again. Was a juvenile dependency case filed against you and your child?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, you mentioned a guardianship hearing, probate guardianship.
Probate, yeah.
When was that filed?
On January 9th, they filed paperwork. They received temporary guardianship on January 13th or 14th.
Miranda, I'm just asking you, when was that filed?
January.
Okay. When was your child taken away from you?
She ran away on January 4th, and they
on what date?
Became involved. January 5th is when she, CSD became involved, and they took her.
Okay, so...
And they're now telling me that it's a civil matter, and there's nothing they can do.
Right, because someone filed a guardianship, and they're trying to bypass the law.
Yes.
You need an attorney. Do you have an attorney in the probate case?
No, I had two, and they were both first-year attorneys. We're in a very small town, and I went to our very best family law attorney in town, and she ripped up my check and said this was too complicated.
Yeah, it's not a family law case. So you went to the wrong type of an attorney.
I have tried. If you're getting at federal civil court, I can't find any federal attorneys civil rights attorneys that will return my calls, partially due to COVID. And I think
so it's not
my area.
Right, so it's not a civil rights case yet.
Okay.
You need a probate attorney that does guardianships. And if you just Google that, probate attorney, guardianships, legal guardianships, you'll come up with a whole lot of attorneys in your area.
I live in a very small area, and we were impacted by the campfire, so that's okay. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Miranda?
Yes?
Hold on before you go. You're in California, right?
Yes.
Well, California is a lawyer's ghetto. There's lawyers everywhere. Why don't you think...
I know. Everybody just says it's so complicated and they don't know what to do, and I've called attention.
Miranda, it's not complicated at all. Listen, write down my phone number, call me tomorrow, make an appointment to talk to me on the phone, and I'll give you an explanation of what to do in about 40 minutes, okay?
Okay.
888-888-6582. 888-888-6582. Call me tomorrow, make that appointment so that we can talk, and I'll explain to you what to do. It's not that complicated.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Thank you, Miranda.
I hate that word, complicated. That's what I was told by every attorney that I went to. Your case is too complicated. Take it elsewhere.
That's a nice way of saying, I don't want to do your case, or I don't know how to do your case.
I think that is more like it.
Right. So, her case is, it's not your everyday case, but if you do guardianship work, and there's a lot of attorneys out there that do guardianship work, it's a fairly straightforward case.
Okay.
So hopefully she will call me tomorrow, and hopefully I can give her some information and help her.
She wasn't dealing with CPS.
Well, the case started off with dealing with CPS, and now she's not. But here's the problem. In a lot of counties in California, the probate guardianship investigator is a CPS social worker. It's just in a different department.
Okay.
So I don't know what county she's in, so I don't know, who the probate investigator is that's doing the guardianship investigation.
What are your thoughts on what she said about what's happening to her daughter and all of the things that her daughter is now involved in?
Right. Well, that's a whole nother discussion. The best thing is for her to try to get the child back as soon as possible.
Understood
Okay.
and agreed.
All right, our engineer is telling me we've got to take another break. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win. We'll be back with more stories and more questions from our audience.